To witness Tom Klein, it looked like the driver of this car had accidentally hit the utility pole. But when he ran up to help, he discovered that she'd been shot in the head.
Just an injury from the accident, but didn't see any place where she hit it on the windshield or dashboard, so it was kind of strange having that hole up there.
Police say road rage drove this 26-year-old man to shoot the young mother.
It appears that she cut him off in traffic, and there was a couple words said between them. He pulled out a gun and shot her.
After the confrontation, officers found the suspect's vehicle abandoned nearby and traced it to his mother. The man was then tracked down at his job and arrested 2 hours later.
That's my mom's car. I don't own a car. I don't even have a driver's license.
The man initially denied the shooting, but later police say he confessed and escorted them to this wooden area where he had buried the gun.
Why'd you shoot him? It was an accident.
I think it's a tragedy. I think it's sad for both of them, really. It's just 2 lives ruined.
This scene is real and becoming very familiar on today's crowded roads. This one started when a car was rear-ended, then escalated into a total confrontation, complete with bat, crowbar, and mace. If that wasn't enough, an infant was inside one of those cars.
An eerie scene moments after the last of the victims had been taken away. Witnesses say a white car was chasing this small car north about 1:30 this morning.
He said that the vehicles went by them like they were sitting still, 80 to 90 miles an hour. That's when they picked it up. They stood back and kind of watched, and they said that the white car was just intent on knocking this little vehicle off the road.
The white car clipped the VW, causing it to roll several times. The impact was so loud, this man heard it a quarter of a mile away.
I heard a loud crash and just sounded like a car got mangled up. I thought it was maybe the train running into a car, but it was pretty loud.
Investigators aren't sure if the crash killed Ruba Caldas because the white car came back.
1 or 2 of the suspects got out of that car, took baseball bats or poles or something, and began hitting the victim's vehicle and or the victim.
Last March on the freeway, this man pulled up behind a car and blinked his lights to pass. The car wouldn't move out of the left lane, and the man who is in prison now says that made him angry.
It's common courtesy. You see someone flashing their lights behind you, what are you going to do? You're going to move out of the way, right? You're not going to play cat and mouse with them, right? These guys did.
The man pulled up beside the car where Travis Norton was a passenger.
I saw their eyes. I got a good look at both the driver and the passenger, and you could tell that they were on something. Their eyes were big, and looked like they're kind of nuts.
I was on drugs. I'll admit it. If I wouldn't have been on high on methamphetamine, I probably wouldn't have done this at all.
And they started like swerving into us, like just messing with us. A gun came out of the driver's side window and just opened fire on us.
News stories like the ones you've just seen are the result of aggressive driving behavior that escalated into a dangerous phenomenon known as road rage. In many cases, law-abiding people become aggressive and vengeful once behind the wheel and take their anger out on other drivers. It is growing, and it is becoming pervasive, and it is often fatal. The reasons for it are rooted in the psychology of modern life, the pace, the stress, the pressure. But certain physical facts contribute to it as well. The roads of today, with some exceptions, were largely designed and built to handle the traffic loads of 30 and 40 years ago, crowding more cars into the same narrow lanes. In the last 10 years, miles of new road have grown 1%, while miles driven rose 35%. Families have gone from 1 car to 2 and even 3. More family members are driving, wives driving to work, teens often driving their own cars to school. Also contributing to the problem is the changing psychology of the highway.
People are under a great deal of stress in their lives today, more stress than in the past. They have stress at school, at home, on the job, and they take that stress out onto the highways with them. And they feel the frustration, anger that they're feeling already from the stress of the day just triggers rage when they run into a situation on the roads with another driver, a person they don't know that they can take it out on anonymously.
Trooper John Kaufman of the Illinois State Police sees examples of aggressive driving every day. This aggressive driving can lead to road rage, resulting in injury or death.
I've made arrests recently with drivers that, for no more important reason than to pick up a package for a delivery service or drop something off at somebody's house or watch their favorite TV show, we're doing upwards of 95 miles an hour on a shoulder, barely wide enough for a car, while traffic around them is moving at the posted speed limit or just above it. Fortunately, when I come into contact with those types of drivers, I've eliminated that risk from turning into something tragic by making that stop and subsequent arrest, getting that driver off the road. Occasionally, however, we respond to crashes that all we're doing is picking up the pieces.
The price of such fatal foolishness is growing rapidly. The incidents of aggressive driving resulting in road rage, where one driver tries to kill or injure another, have risen by more than half in the last 8 years. Of the more than 40,000 killed every year in collisions in this country, fully 1/3 of the collisions and about 2/3 of the deaths were caused by aggressive driving. Losing control loses lives, and every year, thousands of them are teenagers. That is doubly ironic, because no one loves the freedom of the automobile more than young people. Yet they are the largest single age group involved in incidents of road rage, especially young males. Short of taking their lives, their aggressive behavior often robs them of the freedom that they prize most. Trooper Kaufman of the Illinois State Police.
With our aggressive initiative in dealing with the problem of road rage and reckless driving, we're videotaping these incidents so that we can capture this type of reckless behavior. Our objective is to let the court see just how dangerous and just how much this type of driving puts at risk the other drivers on the road. It's our hope that the judges will start and the courts will start imposing stiffer fines and jail time when necessary.
In addition, the yearly financial cost of road rage is in the billions. It can disrupt individual lives for years.
Well, road rage does indeed disrupt individual lives. We at AAA Chicago Motor Club did a survey of our members and found that about half of them witness an incident of road rage each day, and almost that many admit themselves to having their own anger and frustration play a role in how they drive. We ask ourselves, what are the causes? Nowadays we're eating food, we're talking on cell phones, we're socializing with our friends, we're listening to music in the car. It has become our domain. We're having longer commutes to our jobs and to our schools. So when somebody cuts us off, we see it as a perceived slight to us, a personal attack, and we get angry and we try to do something about that. The AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety has done a study over the last 8 years, and they found that road rage has increased 8% each year. That comes to a figure of over 10,000 incidents, with 12,000 injuries and over 200 deaths.
Just what triggers road rage? Well, put yourself in the driver's seat for a moment. Recognize any of these things being done by those idiot drivers around you? Yeah, there's one tailgating, and well over the speed limit. Now, he's in what he believes to be the high speed lane, so is it okay? Uh-oh, there's one tailgating me. Now, if I had to stop suddenly, would he be in my back seat? And look at that. I'm already going the speed limit, and he's flashing his lights. Am I slowly approaching my boiling point? Now, many drivers would be. And the reasons are rooted deeply in the psychology of modern life, the automobile, and the ego.
Often the triggers are trivial. Being cut off in traffic, someone not allowing you to pass, someone tailgating you, and it's a natural response to respond with anger, insults, or obscene gestures.
Road rage in most people does not result from a single incident. It usually builds up slowly from a series of stress factors. Some in the driver's private life. Some from the seemingly careless actions of other drivers.
In all of us, there's an urge to pay someone back when we feel slighted. And behind the wheel of an automobile, it provides an anonymity to the situation and people are capable of expressing their anger in ways they would never do if they were, say, in a grocery store or in the school cafeteria where everyone knows you. You're anonymously behind the wheel of a weapon, a car, and you can take out your anger and your frustration on someone you don't know.
In a split second of unreasoned rage, ordinary citizens can kill themselves and others. It happens thousands of times every year. More than half the drivers in a recent nationwide poll conceded that they like to drive aggressively. These deaths happen not only as a result of smashed cars, but too many times from motorists using other weapons, fists, baseball bats, even firearms. Road rage is proving risky in a country where guns are everywhere.
I try to make the road safer, but at the same time, I have to make that phone call, and I have to ring that doorbell at 2 o'clock in the morning and let somebody know that their teenager is not coming home, ever. I have to let that family know that the mother is never coming home again. And I have to let that family know that the child that they had such high hopes for will never come home. So having gone through all that myself and enjoyed getting that license for the first time and having the new wheels and enjoying the feeling that I got when I was behind the wheel, I'm here to tell you that the most important thing is to live to be a little bit older and allow those around you to do the same thing.
Situations they've never faced before. Now that is another factor compounding the dangers of road rage. Professional stunt drivers are schooled and trained to handle dangerous high-speed maneuvers in automobiles. Even so, they carefully prepare for each stunt with safety belts, helmets, and careful rehearsal on closed roads. Everyday drivers have no such protection going for them. Still, experts say that there are ways to protect yourself from the dangers of road rage. First, being aware that it can crop up at any time. And second, learning to avoid it when you see it happening, in yourself or others. These stunt drivers will demonstrate on this stretch of closed highway several examples of the types of aggressive driving which can lead to road rage. When you see these things happening, or when you do them yourself, you're in the presence of road rage. Here's a common one. You're driving the speed limit, and a car comes up behind at a higher speed and tailgates, feet, even inches from your bumper. The driver may even flash his lights. It's natural to feel annoyance, but recognize that this is a classic beginning point for road rage. Cutting in. This usually happens in lines of slow-moving traffic, when the cutter is often sped along an open lane, passing many cars and bucking the line. If you're forced to brake to avoid a collision, the temptation to anger is even stronger. Side roads are often the site where road rage can begin. Suppose you're driving along a main road, and this happens. The other driver was obviously wrong. But what do? The first thing is to recognize that this can be the start of road rage and avoid it. Another crossroad incident. The driver who runs a red light right in front of you. Again, he was wrong, and there's the urge to call him an idiot. Some offended drivers have done what this one is doing, going after the offender, prepared to reap vengeance. But remember, many incidents that start like this have ended tragically. Road rage claiming more victims. To some drivers, cars are a symbol of their manhood. Ever been challenged like this? Reasonable drivers ignore it. But too often, in a preliminary to road rage, they answer the challenge, often leading to high-speed duels that can end tragically. Excess speed is aggressive driving in full bloom. Drivers react to the day's frustrations or emerge from slow-moving traffic and take out their aggression on their accelerator. It's the most dangerous form of aggressive driving because it gives the driver little time to react to any emergency. Another opening that can lead to road rage: drivers making eye contact. The feeling of anonymity is lost as hostile stares, shouts, and even the international insult passes between them. Such direct challenges seem to require an answer. How you answer any or all of these situations will determine whether road rage and its mounting costs continue to grow, and whether you will be a part of it. Stunt drivers like these say the highway is the most dangerous place they drive. So, how do you protect yourself in situations like these? Well, some have said that the best deterrent to aggressive driving and road rage is a police car in the rearview mirror. Yeah, but police can't be everywhere. So what can you do to escape this growing menace of the road, in others and in yourself? Plan ahead and be ready to respond appropriately to the aggressiveness of other drivers. If you're being tailgated, use your blinker and move into another lane, letting the tailgater pass. Some of the worst collisions are at intersections on high-speed highways having traffic signals. So when you approach one, even if the light is green, moderate your speed and be ready to stop if the light turns yellow. And always make sure cross traffic is stopped before you proceed. Drivers racing to cross on the yellow can be killers. If this happens, slow down and let the cutter in. Cutters rarely stop if they're being challenged, and they may be changing lanes without signaling because they fail to see you. Avoid the urge to hold your ground. If you don't, the result is often expensive damage. Remember, you're giving up one car length by letting these people in. It's not worth your money or your life to fight it. The same applies to people entering from a side road. Be ready to slow to accommodate any car you see waiting to enter. For every 100 times they wait for you to pass, there's one time they won't. This is especially true at entry lanes to busy highways, where entering drivers are tempted to duck into free spaces quickly. This is the most volatile situation. Another driver is directly expressing anger at you. These have escalated into people being shot, stabbed, and beaten in every state. It's best to avoid eye contact and slow down. Above all, keep the bird in the cage. The irate driver almost always moves on, and you've diffused the situation.
If you feel yourself getting caught up in an instance of road rage or aggressive driving, my advice is to back off. Take a couple deep breaths. Avoid eye contact with the person that might be the instigator. Let that person get ahead of you. Don't try to race in front of him. And at all costs, don't pull over on the side of the road to try to resolve a dispute that way. Because we have had far too many instances where it's not a police response anymore just to break up a fight. We're calling a coroner.
In addition to these tactics, experts familiar with the psychology of road rage have advice for conditioning yourself mentally to avoid succumbing to road rage. It can be summed up in the acronym CARE. Behind the wheel, courteous people avoid trouble, stress, large amounts of financial cost, and they arrive at their destination just as quickly. Be constantly aware that road rage is on the rise. That driver behind or ahead of you could react violently to a real or imagined invasion of his or her highway space. Don't provide that trigger. In other words, be responsible, not only for your own driving, but also feel a sense of responsibility to keep the fragile tempers of other drivers from boiling over. Road rage incidents are almost always set off by one driver being ignited by another. So be responsible for not striking that light. And leave your ego at home. There are plenty of other ways to express it than getting into automotive duels that no one ever wins. In the end, it comes down to the same thing that spells success in every part of life: self-discipline. Those who use it inherit the benefits. Those who don't pay the price. Which one are you?
I regret what I did. If I go back and change it, I would. You know, I'm not the only one that's doing time here. You know, my family, My fiance and my 6-year-old son are doing more time than me.